Worst Tim Allen project.
Worst Tim Allen project?
Yes. What's the
Last
show
Man
called?
Standing.
Yeah, Last Man Standing. Yeah. Okay.
Why are we... Okay, moving on.
We're synced. We're synced now.
Synced.
Synced. That's all we needed.
Welcome to Namely 90s. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find the show every Monday on YouTube at namely90s.com/YouTube or youtube.com/@namely90s. You can also support our show by heading on over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with a 90s, and get signed up for one of those support levels.
Yeah, that'll be more like once people start realizing you could do youtube.com/@ something names, people will be like, oh yeah, I understand. Also, Twitter's probably dead by now, so I guess we don't have to say the Twitter.
Rip to the max to Twitter.
Yeah.
Elon Musk has killed you. We are sorry.
It was impressive to see him shitposting about it moments after he destroyed it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but this is it's fun. It's fun. We're doing our December special here.
Thanks. It's our November special, but thank you. That's
November special. So sorry. I'm on December time because we've been recording the 12 Days of Christmas specials.
This is true. We've recorded one episode of the 12 Days of Christmas specials.
True. I don't know where I am. I don't know when I am.
Andrew's a little under the weather.
Back to the DeLorean. I went to the wrong month.
Yes. It's you bring up a good point. It's our Thanksgiving special, but we're watching the Santa Claus. So, like, I am of a firm mind that you can't listen to Christmas music until you're driving home from Thanksgiving, or like once the guests leave from Thanksgiving, depending on. Once the turkey is taken from the table, you can then start listening to Christmas music in America, because we have our Thanksgiving late November. It's a clean cutoff from Halloween.
I might
to
fly there to stab you. No, okay, I'll give you that. But when can you put out the cinnamon scented pine cones?
The moment the turkey is off the table.
Yeah,
Black Friday.
It doesn't feel festive though if you have Thanksgiving
without Christmas decorations.
It just doesn't feel festive. It feels cold and clinical.
Yeah, you have your fall decorations.
Especially when you ram your whole fist up
leaves. You still have your fall colors out. You have the leaves. You have the cornucopia. You have your kids' hand turkeys.
What if you don't have Thanksgiving decorations?
Well, it's not Thanksgiving decorations. It's fall decorations.
Well, we just moved directly from Halloween to Christmas. There is no in between. We just take the Halloween down and put the Christmas up.
So you have your Christmas lights on your house at this point in time.
Also, I was thinking, wouldn't it make more sense if Easter was around Halloween? Because, like, isn't Resurrection kind of creepy and scary?
I mean, it's technically All Saints Day is an honoring of those that have died, not resurrected.
It's when Jesus was reanimated. I mean, resurrected. Wait, what?
Zombified. But I mean, at the same time, he wouldn't have. Oh yeah, isn't Passover? No, it's not Passover. What is the one that they celebrate? What Jewish?
You're
holiday
supposed to be Catholic.
Yeah, well, no, it's the Jewish holiday that corresponds with Easter.
Isn't that Passover?
Is it Passover?
We don't know a lot about Jewish religion here.
It's the other one. It's with the No, that's Passover. God damn it.
Hanukkah.
That's Hanukkah. Maccabees are Hanukkah. It is Passover. You're right. Yeah.
Can we pass over this topic?
Yeah.
And move on to something else.
Back to the fact that you have Christmas lights on your house already.
No, actually, we don't.
How about when is it appropriate to have your Christmas lights on your house versus better question?
Okay, two things.
When is it appropriate to turn them on?
I think
First turn 'em on.
the week of Thanksgiving.
All right,
Now,
that's I will concede the week of Thanksgiving.
someone had Christmas lights put on their house before Halloween this year.
Exactly.
And then on Halloween night, so the first few nights they were on, and they were white. And then someone came to the house, and then on Halloween night, they were alternating red and green. And they've been on every day since.
On Halloween night, those lights should be orange and purple or something.
And I was like, oh, they must be the LED kind where you
Or-
can change
or
the
white
color.
and orange,
No,
yeah.
they had men come to the house and change all of the bulbs.
That's excessive.
And it's been on
Although,
ever since.
to be fair, my cousin, their family, they have men come to the house and change put up the lights because it's tall roof, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's when it hits November, it's fine to have them up. I don't think they should be on until the week of Thanksgiving. I would say post Thanksgiving. But I can see
Merry Thanksgivesmas.
Yeah, I mean, our Thanksgiving special's on a Monday, so it's Thanksgiving now for all namely 90s listeners out there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Christmas music is not until after Thanksgiving. That's my Christmas music. I would say Christmas movies.
How long should the Christmas music continue after?
I would after Christmas or after Thanksgiving?
After Christmas.
After Christmas, I would say through Boxing Day. The 26th.
It's the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
I feel like when there was one radio station in the Seattle area that would change over to, it was a country station. They would switch over to full-on country Christmas music starting,
Oh, I
I
thought
want
you
to say after Thanksgiving.
I thought you
all
said
the way
movies.
to the first of the year.
I thought you said
No,
movies.
I'm sorry. Music. Christmas music.
Oh, Dead Stop. And after Christmas Day.
And I hate that because it's like I'm listening to this station because I want to hear this kind of music, and now
Uh-huh.
all I can hear is Christmas music.
Yeah.
Especially bad country Christmas music.
Yeah, no, Dead Stop on Christmas Day. It should be off.
All I want for Christmas is you.
And the you he's referring to is his 94 Chevy.
Yeah. And my my bottle of Coors Light or whatever. Busch Light. I mean, I enjoy a
Busch
classic
Light.
Coors banquet beer, but
Oh yeah, that's the champagne of beers. No, that's Budweiser.
is that
Budweiser.
Michelob?
No, it's Budweiser. Budweiser
you're right.
Classic is the champagne of beers. I
Yeah,
believe.
you're right. Yep. No, it's Miller High Life.
Miller High Life. Damn it.
Ooh, an MGD. Ooh, I haven't had an MGD in a long time. That's some good stuff, though.
I will drink a banquet. I will drink an MGD.
MGD takes me right back to not college.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what?
Yeah. That's the learning how to be a man post college. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was Natty Ice. That was the one that. Ooh, boy.
We found at one of the local stores something called Beer 30, which was $12 for it was $9 for a 30 rack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that there is nothing natural about natural ice.
It comes from a natural stream of
Yeah.
urine.
Yeah, it naturally F's you up.
Yeah. Yeah, Natty Ice is always the go-to for like beer pong and
It's
all that.
Horrible beer.
But I mean that's why you slam it.
We should drink some live on the air. live on the recorded air of this podcast.
Should that be like the first episode of the new year? Like
I just feel like we just need to start bringing that to. If there's ever a gathering or a get together, just bring at
Natty
least a
Ice.
sixer of just natty ice.
I will be the hipster and go and buy a 6-pack of something local. Some local micro, bro.
Yeah, why don't you go wax your mustache while you're at it?
I mean, I could.
Loser. I can't grow one, so who am I to talk?
I
Oh
do
boy,
put some balm on
my
occasion.
hands are cracking.
Yeah. Should we get into it?
Sure, let's do it. Well, this year, for the first time we've ever done a November special,
Yeah.
we watched The Santa Claus because there is a new mini series or a limited series run of a program called The Santa Clauses, which is on Disney Plus.
Yep. Yeah, which is exciting. And this is our last non-12 Days of Christmas special of the year, which, if you remember all the way back to the first one, we were padding it out so that we can just finish off the last 4 episodes of the monthly format of Namely 90s. So it's exciting. We're here.
We have arrived. Where I don't know.
Yeah, we have not in the 11 months over the since I brought up the fact that we're running out of episodes. Decided on a new format, so I look forward to that next year.
I still think this should have been called, the new one should be called the Santa Addendum. But it's just,
Yes, I did like that. That was a funny one, especially with like the Santa Claus 3, the escape clause.
yeah, and like clauses. So now they said, okay, the one thing they said is that a clause is the last line of a contract. That actually I don't think is a true definition.
I don't believe so either.
So and also, how could you have multiple clauses? There can only be one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a play on there's multiple
Clause.
clauses.
A unit of grammatical organization next below the sentence in rank and in traditional grammar said to consist of a subject and predicate, or a particular and separate article, stipulation, or proviso in a treaty, bill, or contract. So, yeah, it's not the last sentence of a contract.
Yeah, and also they defined a clause as the entire contract on that card. Well, I guess the
Correct.
contract was put
Well,
on
my
the
question
suit.
is, like, if there's a dispute on the contract, does it go to arbitration? Who pays for it?
It's
What's the
magical court.
severability?
Yeah.
You know?
For those of
it
you that don't
assignable?
know, The Santa Claus is a 1994 American Christmas comedy film. In the first installment in the Santa Claus franchise. That's Claus with an E, which screwed up, I'm pretty sure, the entire millennial generation into thinking that Santa Claus is spelled with an E.
No, we just can't spell. Like, we're not smart with words.
Right, but Gen Z also can't spell, but doesn't spell that
That's because
wrong.
they have brain damage from eating Tide Pods.
That's
Moving
also
on.
true. It stars Tim Allen as Scott Calvin, an ordinary man who accidentally causes Santa Claus to fall off a roof and die on Christmas Eve. When he and his young son Charlie finish up Santa's route, they go to the North Pole, and Scott learns he must be the new Santa Claus, and then has an uphill battle convincing other people that he is such. Yeah, it was released in November of 1994, so November, and grossed 190 million with positive reviews from critics, and then somehow became markedly worse and worse as the franchise went on. Although we've heard good things, we've gotten a positive review about the Santa Clauses from one of our guests.
A resounding, it was okay. No.
So what is your background with the Santa Claus? Like we know how we feel about Tim Allen on this podcast.
No, I mean, Tim Allen's okay. Like, he's kind of funny. It's not
He's
funny when
Buzz
he
Lightyear.
writes the jokes, but
Yeah.
no, this was definitely a big part of my childhood. Like, I remembered this movie pretty well, watching it again, and like kind of reminded me of some stuff, and like I believe it may actually have been the origin of some of the things I might say from time to time. Like it is a pretty funny movie.
It's where you got a name for your child.
No, the
Scott.
The wife reminds me of somebody, but I can't figure out who she reminds me of.
Right, especially with the pixie cut, or
yeah,
the bob with the bangs.
Why does she remind me of?
She reminds you of the in The Incredibles, or the Edna Mode. That just came to my head. I've never actually watched that movie.
I don't think she's anyone, but she just looked.
She's had some roles, but she looks kind of like she looks like the mom in something else. Like she has the Sally Field look going on.
Yeah, but back then she was so young that it was like a different.
Sally Field didn't eat someone. I also had a similar experience rewatching this, because I don't think I've watched it in 20 years either. And it was like there were certain scenes that were like, oh yeah, I did not remember this before watching it, but I remember how much I loved it as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, I loved this movie.
Yeah, and as an adult,
I mean, it's watchable.
Let's talk about the CG for a second.
Oh boy, okay.
Because as a kid, I did not notice how bad that was. Granted, we didn't have a frame of reference for how good CG could be, except for Jurassic Park. But if this came out in '94, it's around the same time that we would have watched Jurassic Park for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is when you're watching it in HD, like it becomes obvious how fake it looks.
That's
if you're watching it on like fuzzy 4:3 aspect ratio VHS,
or just like on TNT, yeah, that's a good point, because we definitely would have noticed all of that. Like specifically, I'm talking about the reindeer and any scene with the reindeer in it.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
And I don't really love when they anthropomorphize some sort of animal.
Oh, Comet. Yeah.
It gets kind of annoying.
Comet starts with that fart, and you're like, funny fart.
I mean, I do enjoy a good fart, so.
It was definitely, it was very nostalgic watching this movie, and it's kind of cool to go back and see it and like watch it from your adult point of view.
Right.
Did you watch it with the family, or did you watch it by yourself?
No, I watched by myself. I think Kayla was watching the Sister Wives thing.
Sister Wives.
But I did the Moesha episode and this back to back.
Oh, yes. The first episode in our 12 Days of Christmas specials will be Moesha, a class act Christmas. Yeah. We are just kicking off a full Christmas season here this episode.
Tis the season. Tis the MF season.
We're going into December episodes after this, even though the next episode comes out in November still. And then we hit the 12 Days of Christmas specials. But the Santa Claus, did you watch Home Improvement a lot as a kid? I did. Yeah. So
Tim the Toolman Taylor,
which gets referenced in this. I think it's Tim Allen was at like the peak.
Tim Allen was real popular with people other than just Republicans at this time.
Yes, and then this is like 2 years prior to Toy Story, where he was. So like this was like that was the crescendo of Tim Allen. It was Home Improvement goes up, he hits his peak with the Santa Claus, flatlines through Toy Story, and then kind of peters off for a little while before coming back as you say, the Republican folk hero.
that isn't Donald Trump.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I would rather vote for Tim Allen than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But yeah. You ready for a game?
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, okay. This is we've been having fun doing the letterbox reviews. This one isn't like last time. This isn't 5-star or 1-star. This is going to be Santa Claus or Santa sequel.
Oh, one of the sequels, you mean?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it easy for you. I'm gonna make it a 50-50 option each time. So this is either going to be a review from the Santa Claus, and most of these are terrible reviews of the Santa Claus, or it's going to be a review from Santa Claus
Got it.
2 or Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. Okay.
Right. I'm going to do my best.
And then let me just cue it up really quick. So, for example, a 3-star review from someone named Mulaney for the Santa Claus was all caps, Santa literally died and no one fucking cared, double ellipsis. Okay. And then just so you get some ground, the Santa Claus 2 review, half a star from Joey Dynasty. Loses a bunch of weight just to get pussy. Coward. That's Santa Claus 3 for us, and then Santa Claus 2. That was Santa Claus 2. And here's a Santa Claus 3 review, just so it's all fresh in your head. I used to be scared of the part where Martin Short murders Judge Reinhold in cold blood, but now I just laugh because I can type the sentence, Martin Short murders Judge Reinhold in cold blood.
That's funny.
All right. Are you ready?
Sure.
Let's do it. Okay. Just let me get my format ready. And here we go. A half-star review from Big JC, or actually it's all lowercase, so it's by sick of Tim Allen and his quips. Judge Reinhold setting mental health back 100 years with his portrayal of a psychiatrist. You think Bernard has drip? Triple question mark. The world has lied to you. Send all these characters and this franchise to Gitmo. And this was from December 6th, 2021, where Gitmo is super relevant. See, it's hard. Is it the sequels?
And I have to choose between
the Santa Claus or the sequels. Those are your options.
the sequels.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. That was from Santa Claus 1.
Damn.
Yeah, I've taken out I've not picked anything that's easily identifiable, but it's a 50-50 choice.
But it kind of screwed me up because
he said
in
franchise.
in my mind it was written when the movie came out, but you just said it wasn't. So, but yeah, like how would you know there was a franchise, but it was written? I get it. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
faulty
Letterboxd.
logic. Faulty logic.
This is a social media website review.
All right. I knew that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Back in it. Half a star. Boba Fett. That's cute. It's a Bulbasaur wearing with a Boba Fett helmet. Who thought that this was a good idea? None of the actors were trying. None of the jokes were funny. The only time I laughed was at the dated CGI. Don't watch this, please. Was that the Santa Claus or the Santa sequels?
Oh boy. Sequels.
I'm sorry, Andrew. That was also a half-star review of the original Santa Claus.
No, that threw me off.
CGI actually got better.
How could they not
ones.
care though? It was still the first movie.
I know, right? That's
Damn.
to be honest. Looking at the reviews for the first one and the subsequent ones, they're literally the same unless they talk about the plot points.
Right,
So,
right.
you're batting a 0 here. Let's see. Let's throw one in here just to. You'll get this one. Don't worry. This is a 4-star review from Jason Bradley. The gays use all of their collective energy to conjure this film. Was that the Santa Claus or the Santa sequels?
I believe this is a review for Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh, well done. Well done, Andrew. This is a
I finally
review
caught on.
for Hocus Pocus 2. That gets you points. Well done.
I love how it's implied that any of the answer could at any time be Hocus Pocus 2.
It's true. Any of the answers always can be Hocus Pocus 2. Or can they?
The gays.
And the best thing about having a social media review site is that there will always be fresh people hating on this movie.
Yeah.
All right. Another 1/2-star review. A little boring. This is from Zoe. No punctuation, no capitalization. Maybe I actually hate cinema. Maybe I actually hate cinema.
Statistically, it has to be the sequels.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay, that is correct.
Oh, thank God.
All right, you are back on
People
the
don't
board.
like asymmetry.
That's by you gleaned that. That's what you gleaned.
No, that's my 1/2-star review of the Santa Claus.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have another 1/2-star review. I forgot that most of the early ones are 1/2-star reviews. This is from Joshua. Who wrote this shit? ? This has got to be a worse disappointment than The Last Jedi. I mean, each time I watch this movie, I think to myself, maybe it's not as bad as you remember it. But each time, I'm impressed by how delusional I can become. That was actually pretty good for only missing like 1 punctuation.
The original Santa Claus.
Final answer?
Sure.
Sorry, that's a review for the Santa Claus 3.
Ugh.
All right, let's see. Next up, we got another 1/2-star review from Acrophobia _ Watched it with my little sister again. I think watched it with my little sisters again. I think Tim Allen is Satan and he tried to take my soul. Was that the Santa Claus or the
I feel like again
Santa
implies
sequels?
the original Santa Claus because no one in their right mind would watch the sequels more than once.
Very true. Is that what
wrong.
you're going with?
Yes.
No, you got that correct. Good job. Technically, you are
50-50, right?
50-50, but since the Hocus Pocus is always counted as a bonus point, you're batting over 500, which is, as usual, our cutoff. All right, let's moving forward. We have 1/2-star review. Katie McGraw. You know, they might all just be 1/2-star reviews. Watched in a hotel in Louisville with my dad. He kept glancing over at me as if to say, "We're really going to keep watching this?" I'm sorry, Dad. This movie is an abomination. Was this the Santa Claus or the Santa sequels? And if you need me to read it again, gladly will. Watched this in a hotel in Louisville with my dad. They were sharing a hotel room.
I mean, it is Kentucky. The original movie.
Final answer?
No, sequel.
Final answer?
Yes.
You are correct.
Yes.
What made you change your mind last minute there?
It just felt right.
Okay. Moving forward. Another half-star review. Surprising. From Chris, a man whose profile picture is him with his shirt off. This isn't Tinder, sir. Tim Allen as Santa is worse than Hitler as Hitler, is the review.
Is this a review for Hocus Pocus? No, I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't that be funny if there just somewhere in there I had actually put that review on Hocus Pocus 2? Because again, it's a social media review site.
Yeah, you could. No, I think that one's legit.
Santa Claus or Santa sequels?
Read again.
Tim Allen as Santa is worse than Hitler as Hitler. Santa Claus or Santa sequels?
The Santa Claus.
Sorry, that is incorrect. In Santa Claus 2, they clone Santa, and the cloned Santa, the cloned toy Santa, becomes a fascist dictator of the North Pole. These are real plot lines. Let's see how many we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 more. All right, we got 2-star review from Lucy. When my 4-year-old niece just said, I did like it, but it wasn't very good, she really deconstructed film criticism in one fell swoop. When my 4-year-old niece just said, I did like it, but it wasn't very good, she really deconstructed film criticism in one fell swoop.
That's got to be the original Santa Claus.
Final answer?
Yes.
You are correct, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 8. So you're killing it. For once. Let's see where this one takes us. 1-star review from Kyle. Okay, so this movie is shit. It is what if Civil War and Shrek 4 had a baby that was Christmas themed. The only saving grace about this movie is this main character's charisma. At the end of the day, yes, I freaking love this movie. Definitely better than that Civil War bullcrap. Even with this being a bad movie, the amount of fun brought on by watching this trilogy every year. Verdict, 2.8 out of 10, or as I like to say, 10 out of 10. The man gave it a 1-star review.
I think that's a sequel.
All right. Final answer?
Yes.
You are correct. Is it because I omitted the main character charisma thing?
No, I assumed it was Tim Allen in all of them.
Oh, no, that was Martin Short. Martin Short is a main character, the third one. He plays Jack Frost.
That's the stupidest. I think I've seen a still shot of it. It looks so bad.
You keep saying that's the stupidest thing ever, but it continually gets stupider as we go on. Yeah, so I don't think you can lose at this point. So,
neither can Parker Lewis. Why do I know that reference? I've never seen that before.
All right, so let's see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the 10th one. All right. Final question for you from Angelo, 2.5 stars. Not this movie having a post-credit scene. 2.5 stars.
Not this movie having a post-credit scene.
Not this movie having a post-credit scene. Is that the Santa Claus or the Santa sequels? Not this movie having a post-credit scene.
The Santa Claus.
I'm sorry, that's actually Hocus Pocus.
Damn it! I almost said it. I almost did it.
At
But I didn't
least
think it
you're-
was funny enough. I don't know.
to be fair, I didn't prep any, and am just reading off of the front page. No,
Oh.
our real final one, since this is pushing into 15 minutes, from Olivia, 1-star review. I wish this wasn't one of my dad's favorite Christmas movies. Is that the Santa Claus or the Santa sequel?
I think it's the Santa Claus.
In fact, it is the Santa Claus 3. Yeah,
Her dad needs to
the
be put in
escape.
jail.
right? Like,
That's child abuse.
okay. But you still got 1,
7 out of 10.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6 points out of 10. So 60%.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Well done. And
It's better than the average review for Hocus Pocus 2.
surprisingly true. Shall we move on to the next subject, which is the sequels?
Haven't seen any of them.
What? You didn't see the second one?
No.
I saw the second one in theater, I'm pretty sure. Which is the Santa Claus 2. And that's the one where he has to find a wife or else he loses his Santa Claus powers.
I mean, maybe I have seen it.
And the wife is played by one of the ladies from Lost.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yes. Oh, Spencer Breslin's in this. So, yeah, the Santa Claus 2, basically, the plot is there's another clause on that card that he didn't read.
Even smaller. That didn't
Yep.
apply at the beginning.
Yes, it zooms in the text of the small text. There's a Mrs. Claus. Get it? Because it's an additional clause.
I'm going to stab you.
And yeah, he has to basically he has to get married before the next Christmas Eve, or else he'll stop being Santa forever.
Ah, she was in ER. That's where I know her from.
That's where I know her from.
Plays Dr. Weaver's lesbian love interest.
That's yep. And then there's also a council of legendary figures with Mother Nature, Father Time, Cupid, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and the Sandman. Father Time, weirdly enough, being played by Ray's dad from Everyone Loves Raymond, who was a different character in the first one. He was Scott's boss. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He passed away right after the third movie, where he reprised his role as Father Time.
Wait, who passed away?
The actor Peter Boyle, Ray's dad, and Everyone Loves Raymond.
He died in 2006? I felt like that. I thought that guy was still alive.
I mean, I bet you still thought Everybody Loves Raymond was still on in 2006.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah. He was up there. But yeah, Aisha Tyler played Mother Nature.
Yes.
Everyone reprised their roles from the previous one. They had a new Abigail Breslin's brother Spencer is Curtis the Elf. Kevin Pollak is Cupid. Michael Dorn's the Sandman. That's Worf from Star Trek.
Oh, I know that guy from Peter Boyle. I know him from an X-Files episode.
The one that we watched? No. it was
Clyde
different.
Bruckman's Final Repose from 1995.
He was also in Young Frankenstein. He might have been Young Frankenstein. Molly Shannon's also in this as like a Santa-obsessed woman that goes on a date with Tim Allen.
We could all be described as that.
Yes. She's a Santa effer. God damn it. Anyway, Charlie's having problems in school and not believing in Santa Claus and being all rebellious because he's a teenager now. And so Scott has to go in to school. And, of course, his principal is hot and single and for some reason is up for being married within like a month period between Thanksgiving and
Yeah, that's reasonable.
yeah, that's literally the plot of this movie. How to land a wife in less than a month. 90 Day Fiance, try 30 Day Fiance / married. Yeah, and then while Scott's away from the North Pole, they, like I said, they clone him, make a toy Santa, and then the toy Santa gets beyond his programming and tries to conquer the North Pole.
Wow, that's...
And if you think that's as low as the Santa Claus franchise can be, it goes on to Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, which I think I've seen at least half of on television once. It was terrible. Let's just say it was terrible. The Mrs. Claus worked. They're living up in the North Pole comfortably. And then Jack Frost is causing trouble because he's jealous that he doesn't have a holiday. So he gets sent to community service at the North Pole for some reason.
Can we make this Martin short and move on? I get it.
Yes. So the main thing about this is the B plot, or that's the B plot, I think. Or no, the B plot of the movie is his in-laws come visit them. So they theme the North Pole to be Canada, and then somehow convince these two grown adults that Canada is the North Pole, and everyone and people just look like elves in Canada. Yeah. Also, as we mentioned before, Frost kills people, and then Santa unfreezes them or something. I don't know. It's a bad movie. Don't watch it.
Don't you worry.
Yeah. And then we have the Santa Clauses, which I've not seen yet, so I won't spoil it by looking at it. But it's the trailer was basically something about, I don't know, he's gonna retire and pass it on before someone knocks him off a roof and he dies. Shall we?
Now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of the Santa Claus's release, we're looking back at the movie that started the franchise, The Santa Claus. The Santa Claus is a 1994 Christmas comedy film starring Tim the Toolman Taylor as Scott Calvin, Dr. Dana Keeney from Saving Hope as his ex-wife, Detective Billy Rosewood from Beverly Hills Cop as her new husband, the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond as Scott's boss, and Goldstein from the Harold and Kumar franchise as Bernard the head elf. The story opens up with Buzz Lightyear staying late at his office Christmas party and rushing home to take custody of his child for Christmas Eve from his annoyed ex-wife and her new husband. After burning his turkey and making his child Charlie wait 4 hours only to be brought to Denny's with other divorced dads for Christmas Eve dinner, Last Man Standing reads his son the night before Christmas and puts him to bed. Then they're awakened by a clatter on the roof, so he checks it out, startling Santa Claus, who slips and falls to his death in front of the house. Galaxy Quest finds a business card on dead Santa that tells him to put on the suit and take the reindeer, so after some protesting, he gives in and finishes Santa's route for the night with Charlie. They're then taken back to the North Pole, where they meet the elves and learn that Wild Hogs is now bound to the Santa Claus and is now Santa until he dies. Back in the real world, Charlie becomes obsessed over the fact that his dad is Santa, resulting in his dad asking him to keep it a secret, which gives him 11 months to forget about what he thinks was a shared dream, until he wakes up one morning having gained Santa weight, beard, and gray hair. Naturally, his ex-wife and her husband are concerned about it and eventually ask for sole custody of Charlie. So instead of respecting his wife's wishes, he does what most dads do in this situation and kidnaps his child and leaves the country to the North Pole. The two of them deliver presents again together, but Joe somebody makes the mistake of delivering presents to his ex-wife's house where police are waiting for him. This triggers a Black Ops elf team to come to the rescue and break Santa out of jail. Jungle to Jungle returns Charlie and makes him stay with his mom when she realizes her ex-husband is really Santa Claus, and even her new husband begrudgingly admits it. The Shaggy Dog leaves to finish his rounds, only to get called back by his son Snow Globe 10 minutes later, and he takes him with him again, but this time with his ex-wife's permission. And that's the Santa Claus in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show.
And here we are. The movie.
Where do you want to go?
Yeah. let's go with the Santa Claus. It starts with
again though, I have to say, it starts, that title card is horrific.
I Yeah, it looks like you're watching like a scanned VHS copy of
does.
this movie.
It looks like the beginning of a driver's ed video.
It does. It also feels like the intro to Die Hard, the intro to Jingle All the Way, which we watched last year with Kayla, because it starts with an office party and a negligent dad. Yeah. Scott works at a place called B&R Toys. Don't worry, that doesn't come back until the next film, except for one scene.
Was that a ripoff of BK Toys or
I believe so.
Procter and
'cause
Gamble or
Baskin
Milton and
Robbins.
Bradley? Oh, Milton Bradley?
Baskin Robbins.
Baskin and Robbins.
Yes. Batman and Robin. Yeah. Yeah, it feels like liar, liar. Scott's like, I don't even know. The point of the shot is, oh, hey, Scott's at the firm, and then now he's driving home trying to catch his ex-wife.
He's
before he
he's
drives
saying,
off
oh,
the
there's a
job.
lot of traffic and the roads are just completely clear.
That was pretty good.
But he didn't seem that late once he finally got there.
I mean, I don't know how long they were waiting for him. That's a good question.
Also, I do
Just-
love these movies where like they show his car and you put yourself back in that time and you're like, that's a brand new Ford Taurus. Still looks like shit.
It looks like yes. I was like, was that a new car? That looked terrible.
That's what new cars looked like back then.
the early '90s were not good to car design.
We drove a 95 Taurus. That's what that thing looked like.
I don't remember. I don't remember your '95 Taurus. Yeah. Let's see. So he gets home. His ex-wife, her boyfriend, I think, and
Played by the Honorable Judge Reinhold.
oh yes, Mock Chow with Judge Reinhold. Yeah, they're waiting with his son Charlie. We get the establishing divorced custody, whatever. Child doesn't like staying at his dad's place because he's unable to cook for him.
Dad's place looks super boring and kind of cold.
And to be fair, his dad is Tim Allen in D-bag mode. Yeah, and I feel like this was right in the wave of Mrs. Doubtfire. But yeah, I don't know. It was probably only like 7:00 at night, but he looks at the cookbook and is like, "Oh shit, turkey takes 4 hours to make," and then proceeds to make turkey and an entire Christmas feast for his son. So it's like 11 at night.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean,
It's
is the guy a dunce? Like
Can
he's a
you-
great salesman, but he doesn't know anything about cooking meat.
yeah. Can you not? Can you like? Can
Isn't it 12 to
Can-
15 minutes per pound?
Yes. So yes, he. That's a good point. He looked at the cookbook and was like, "Oh, I need to cook this exactly for 4 hours." Yeah. He burns a turkey twice somehow. It catches fire twice.
That's such a tired and lazy joke. Like, you'd have to cook a turkey for a super long time to get it to burst into flames, which isn't even actually possible.
Right.
To get like up to the flash point or whatever. But it's like, if anything, you're more likely to just serve an undercooked turkey because you underestimate how long it would take.
Yes. But it doesn't involve Tim Allen spraying the turkey with the
Lighter fluid. There definitely was lighter fluid because that thing burst back into
in the
flames.
Yep. It was like one of those trick candles. And then so he takes his after that he takes his kid out for food, and my line that I enjoyed from this was, "You like osobuco, Charlie?"
But I thought it was so dumb that he was like annoyed and surprised that the restaurant was closed
on Christmas Eve at like 10 at night. Yeah, I agree. And then they went to Denny's, which I assume was a product placement
Yeah.
for divorcee dads.
I remember that scene where the dad like nods at him.
Yeah.
That one I remember vividly.
The divorced dad nod, like, so they one of the dumber lines is Denny's, an American institution, and then cut to black, and then opens on a Asian businessman and his cohorts all in the main dining area.
I didn't catch that. I mean, I caught that they were there, but I didn't catch that.
They were all speaking. I think they were speaking Cantonese. But yeah, it's just like, oh, come on. And then the waitress is like, I'll take you back to the divorced dad's room. So yeah, like all the dads there are just like sad, pathetic looking, and like.
But that's like back when it was trendy to make fun of dads for not knowing how to cook. But like a lot of men divorced. Are great cooks.
Yes, and they're also like out of everything. They were out of chocolate milk and apple pie and
how can you
eggnog.
be out of that?
Chocolate.
Add chocolate to the milk.
Yeah, they were out of chocolate.
Why?
Although I don't know, Denny's on Christmas Eve.
They didn't have the same supply chain issues we have now.
That's true. They couldn't blame Obama. God damn it. Let's see. Yeah, and so they have dinner. He brings him back to his place and reads him a bedtime story. And it was the night before Christmas and whatnot. And yeah, Christmas
And
Eve.
he read the book the night before Christmas.
That's what I was. Yes, thank you. And then there arose such a clatter on the roof. Charlie wakes up in the middle of the night. He hears Santa on the roof, runs into Scott's room, wakes up his dad, and is like, there's someone on the roof. Which, did we really need Tim Allen in silk boxer shorts for this movie? Like,
yes. Better than Bryan Cranston in his like off-colored tidy whities.
That's fair. A little more iconic though.
Yeah.
And then yeah, he goes outside. He startles a Santa on the roof. The Santa slips off because it's icy, and then falls 2 stories into a pile of snow, and apparently dies.
I'm sorry. Santa has spent like a lifetime standing on roofs. Why is he falling so easily? Second of all, isn't he magic? How did he die? And third of all, he fell onto snow.
Exactly. Yes. So much snow that it buried him almost like an avalanche.
Right.
You couldn't see any of his extremities except for a lone mitt that waves at him as he takes the card, and then yeah.
Why did it wave?
Why did it wave?
He was dead. How could the powers transfer if he was actually still alive?
Right. And then
He took a while to put the pants on or whatever.
yeah, he's looking for identification on him. He pulls out the Santa Claus card, reads it, put my suit on, find the reindeer, they'll know what to do. Yeah. Why does it wave? And then they get up onto the roof, they find the reindeer in the sleigh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Charlie guilt trips his dad into doing it because he's like, why do you think everything I want to do is stupid?
Yeah, God, this kid is so annoying.
So annoying. There was actually one of the reviews we didn't get to that just said, when can I kick this kid?
Well, the thing is, this kid is played by, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some guy. But he reminds me of the kid from Liar Liar.
I
Even
thought
though they're- What?
who was the kid in Liar Liar?
His name was Justin Cooper. He didn't really do anything after this. The one from the Santa Claus did some other stuff, but like,
Yeah, the Santa Claus
what
sequel.
is the name of that haircut that they all had back then? It's horrible.
I believe that's a bowl cut.
I don't know that it is.
Is that not? It's very bowly.
No. A bowl cut's different.
It's like the '90s bowl cut.
No, bowl cut. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's not a bowl cut. I'm gonna look this up while you keep talking.
Okay. Mushroom cut.
Yeah, it's got to have a name.
According to Marie Claire, excuse me, it's a mushroom cut.
Why would you ever request that for your child?
That's what all all the teen heartthrobs were wearing.
It's so bad.
Comet farts. They keep arguing. Terrible CG. I get to a point where I cannot handle another full hour of Tim Allen just making quips.
They are pretty bad.
And then, okay, so they get to the first house. The first roof, he's like, he has the bag. It starts Mary Poppinsing him into the chimney.
Yeah.
And his son's like, "You're flying." And he says, "It's okay. I'm used to it. I lived through the 60s in a children's Christmas movie."
But although didn't he only live through like a small part of the 60s?
Yeah, it's like us saying we lived through the 80s.
Oh, he was born in 1953. I didn't know he was that old.
Oh, wow. So he definitely did all the drugs. Not just the cocaine.
I mean, even then, he was still not that old, but whatever.
Well, yeah,
Back then, you could do cocaine at any age.
Yeah, back then they would give it to infants in a tincture. So first house has a dog and an owner with a shotgun. And then he just like leaves unwrapped presents under the tree. This is the point where I realize how bad the CG was. You clearly just from the title card realized it. Yeah, they get to the second house, the cute girl who Tim Allen berates for being a child.
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah. How dare you be excited to see Santa Claus? I'm not Santa Claus. My name is Scott Calvin. Also, telling a child your name is Scott Calvin as you're breaking and entering into their house. That's from his point of view, he was breaking and entering. And then he tells her he's lactose intolerant. That comes back later. There's the canoe gag. They pull a canoe out of the tiny bag. And
that worked for me.
The part I like is he like sets it. He does the classic. He sets it and he like slowly walks away, and then it just tips over, and then tips over the tree.
And then he pulls out the oar.
Yes, and then just tosses it on top of the pile of that. Their Christmas tree is going to light on fire at that point, is it not? With not being in the base anymore.
No, it's definitely going to light on fire.
Yeah. Also, there's a point where Charlie's being licked by a puppy. In the back of the sleigh. There's live animals in his bag. Do the elves create animals?
There's just dog shit in there getting all the gifts.
They're not contained in anything. All right. So they return to the North Pole under a giant ass moon that would definitely fall to Earth if it was that close.
Why did the North Pole keep looking like it was in space? It didn't make any sense.
It looked like you just like bounce off jump off the ground and into outer space. We get the first of the many child actors dressed as elves. This one's just like, "Brr, I'm cold. I'm outside," and like, they don't let him speak because he's the one that lets the sleigh into
It's like 40 below zero.
But like on stage, it's probably like 90 degrees, and he's just like, "I'm so cold." Like he's just like dead. He's miming that he's shivering, but it's.
I felt like when that little pole came out of the ground, like it wasn't super smooth and it was slightly at an angle, right?
Yes. It's also just like just slowly waggling up, and I'm like, the girl like. One of the stable hands with the reindeer looks directly into the goddamn camera. Child actors, man.
It's bad.
Yeah. So, Tim Allen's doing his Tim Allen thing, being like, where's your boss? And all the kids are like, "You're our boss," because he's Santa Claus. Like, clearly he is not the same Santa that left. One, why are they not mourning? Two, why are they being assholes to him?
That's what struck me. I was like, are none of them sad that Santa just died and this weirdo is now the Santa Claus?
Yeah, and if Santa is a human and has a human lifespan, they've gone through at least a couple Santas at this point. But damn, that's cold. It's cold, elves. And then we get Bernard, who is a highlight of this movie.
But
Asks
still not good.
no, asks one of the elves that are actually talking to Santa because he doesn't know what's going on. She was being nice to him, and then Bernard's all like, "Are we on a coffee break?" And then she's like, "We don't drink coffee." And he's like, "Yeah, so get the fuck out of here." It's like, okay. And then Tim Allen has I've got homeowners insurance and a good lawyer. Not as good as my wife's, so let's not open that can of worms line. Bernard kind of gives him the lowdown on being Santa, that he has been conned into it by the card with the Santa Claus. And at one point, Tim Allen / Scott Calvin picks up a tool belt from the production toy line, puts it on, like, looks down at it, looks like, kind of look good in this. Obvious reference to Home Improvement, Timmy Toolman Taylor. But, like, why? I don't know why I went for a Bowser thing there. I'm sure this has been I'm sure like this whole Santa Claus thing has been lawyered to death before. You could find a YouTube series on this, I'm sure. But that small print hidden that well is not legally binding.
No, you can't like trick people.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, I guess it's a magical court that they would have to go to, but
yeah, like what legal or judicial system is enforcing this contract, and what's the consequence to breaking the contract? I guess you have no choice because you turn into a fatty.
Exactly. Exactly. How? I mean, if I could magically not be a fatty, I guess I'd take them up on it.
It's not the '90s without a fat suit
and fat jokes. And fat shaming. And one of the elves is just a baby. Did you see that? I was like, yeah. And then it gets creepy. Well, so I pulled the reviews before I rewatched this movie, and there were a couple that were like, Tim Allen hits on a minor. Which is
they
true.
didn't cast R. Kelly for this,
but it wasn't as creepy as they're in the reviews are making it out to be. Because I do remember, like after reading that, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that line where he's like, she says it took her 1,200 years to get the cocoa right.
It shouldn't take that long.
Oh, it's perfection.
And then he shouldn't be that underwhelmed by it, and then it shouldn't look like just diarrhea in a mug.
Oh, it gets later on when they have the hot cocoa machine in the sleigh. But yeah, he's like 12,000 years. You look pretty good for your age. And then her response is, thanks, but I'm seeing someone in rapping.
But it's like the worst possible and least believable delivery I've ever seen.
Because she's like a 7-year-old kid.
Thanks, but I'm seeing someone in rapping.
But at the same time, thank God. Thank God that it wasn't actually as bad as these people made it seem like. Because it was like, I mean, yes, Tim Allen hits on a child, but they made it sound like he really was, as Scott Calvin was into bumping and grinding with a childlike elf.
Yeah, but if in reality she is 1,200 years old,
exactly, then
it's back to the magical court because it's based on their actual age. Okay, I'm moving on.
No, but still, he makes a Tim Allen joke. He does not make an actual like advance at this woman.
Yeah.
And then the mind wandered, and I was wondering what if Michael Jackson got this role. Because then right after that, he gets into bed with his child. It was all a dream. And then at this point, I had to listen to Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. It was all a dream. But he's wearing the new PJs that he got in North Pole. Mind blown. Charlie's all hyped. By the way, Charlie wakes his dad up, says, let's open presents, and then Scott proceeds to not get up, asks his son to make him coffee, and then by the time he gets downstairs, Charlie's opened all of his presents.
Yeah. Kind of sad.
Yeah. Terrible dad. Also, not the best behaved child. But you already said earlier that you would have kicked him if you could. He didn't actually say that. That was in a review. And he yells, "I normally sleep naked, buck naked." Just for fun.
Don't need that.
Yes. Then it's take your dad to... Then it cuts forward to take your dad to work day, where both Scott and his wife's boyfriend is...
They're married.
Are they married at this point?
They're both... Now's names are both Miller.
Okay, then yes, they're married. I thought I didn't know where in the movie timeline they get married. Yeah. Also, they have that ditzy teacher. Like, she gets in a good line or two because the fireman like has a story about being a fireman, and sits down, and the teacher's just like, "Sorry about your partner."
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
Dark.
Yeah. And then as Charlie supersedes Neil going up there and talking about being a psychiatrist by getting his dad to go up, and he's like, "My dad's Santa Claus." And all the kids laugh, and then they start asking questions about elves, and the teacher gets another good line in. "Bobby, we don't say stupid, and we don't say elves. We say little people." Which I thought was great. No, you didn't like that one?
That was kind of funny, but
I mean, yeah, it's definitely in the '90s era of fat jokes, short people jokes. Not PC.
Killer Bees.
The Magna Carta.
The Magna Carta.
Short guys. Taxes. Yeah. So they get called into the principal's office. The principal's like, Charlie's kind of acting weird. And they're like, "What did you do Christmas Eve?" I don't know what they're insinuating there. Tim Allen lists off a bunch of things that I forgot to write down, but he ends with, "We field dressed a cat."
Yeah.
And I know he said chased some women. Yeah. Anyway, Charlie's super obsessed with his dad being Santa, because who wouldn't be? It's causing problems. Scott just takes him aside and is like, "Why don't we just make this our secret?" And then 11 months roll by.
There's something very creepy about like an adult talking to a child and trying to convince them to keep a secret. Like that's bad.
Even if the secret is being Santa Claus.
Yeah, I know, but just like the vibe I'm getting off that's not so good.
Yeah, that's like, Batman being like, "You know my secret, but you've got to keep it safe or else we'll be in trouble." Ew.
Yeah. Move on.
Yeah. Let's see. Charlie even manages to out-logic Judge Reinhold Neil, because just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Smart.
Yes.
So let's cut to Tim Allen becoming fat.
Next Christmas. Yes. He gets fat. Claims he was stung by a bee when he gets into work wearing sweats. And then he's in a pitch meeting for a tank, and the advertisement was going to show Santa driving a tank. Scott gets all uppity about like the elves should look a little younger. This is both of us making faces at the camera. He gets like crazy about Santa not having the reindeer. It's just a weird scene.
It's weird. The doctor's visit is weird. Like the fact that he's like, "You're healthy as a horse." It's like, yeah, but he's obese. Also, when his heart beats to the song Jingle Bells, like I almost died.
Laughing or how dumb it
Disgust
is.
and embarrassment.
It should not. And the doctor still said that he's healthy as a horse if he's having heart
You have a
palpitations.
severe arrhythmia.
Thank you for the technical term. And then the next scene is him at Charlie's soccer game, where they must be like switching off with Neil and his ex-wife or something, because they storm across a soccer game when they see that Scott is having the local children sit on his lap while watching the game. Basically,
They did ultimately acknowledge how creepy that was at the end.
Yeah, a bunch of little kids at the park think he's Santa because he's now fat and white hair and wearing a red tracksuit. So they sit on his lap and tell him what they want for Christmas, while in full view of Charlie and all the other parents at the soccer game.
Very creepy.
Very creepy. And so they're suing for full custody at this point. They do. This was the line from the trailers way back when he's walking down the street and he's like, Judy, naughty. Tommy, good. Veronica, very nice.
I actually laughed at that.
And then, the retort where she turns around and is like, in your dreams, slay boy. And
Yeah, and
he's
then I
like,
sucked the laugh back into my body because that was the stupidest line ever devised.
Fair enough.
And then there was at the judge's office,
Yes.
the discussion between the Millers about when they stopped believing in Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
I have some problems here.
Okay.
First and foremost, well, two things. So, weenie whistle, about 10 cents. How cheap? I feel bad for this guy. How cheap are his parents?
He was 3 years old, though. Like, how could he have communicated this to his parents?
The other thing that drives me nuts is like Santa Claus exists in this universe and has been delivering shit to people's houses that they did not purchase. So how are you not believing in this, especially adults?
I think there's some hand wavium in the second one where they explain that away. As the
Maybe
parent,
the parent thinks they bought it. I don't know.
yeah, or that might be the elf. That might be an elf. I don't remember which one. But I definitely remember that's a excuse in one of these types of Santa Claus's real movies.
I saw the next line.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, they're having this discussion outside a judge's council chamber, where he decides to suspend the visitation rights to Scott. And then later that evening, he's just walking in their neighborhood and standing outside their window.
Like, you cannot visit, but you may lurk creepily outside of their window.
Yeah. And then right after I typed that, he then knocks on their door. I'm just like, oh, I thought he was just going to do like the sad sack walk for a while. Also, doesn't that imply that they live like close to his house?
Yeah, I suppose so.
But yeah, then Charlie says he is Santa, and then the terrible CG in the snow globe goes, remember. No, Charlie gets his dad to look at the snow globe, and then Scott's like, oh my God, I am Santa. And then he kidnaps his child, which this is why we have Amber Alerts, people. Because you could be dressed as Santa and your wife can be like, let's leave my child alone with my deranged husband who believes he is Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's always a disgruntled father who takes off with the kids.
It is.
In like a 2005 Dodge Neon or something.
Or a 1994 Ford Taurus.
In silver.
In silver. Oh, yeah. So they transported to North Pole. There's a British elf named Quentin, which is a James Bond Q reference. There's they've designed a new fireproof suit for him. The running gag through this, when they're going through all the tech, is that Tim Allen keeps just asking, but what if I fall off a roof? And he's like, that's nice and all, but what if I fall off a roof? It's like, we've upgraded your sleigh to have diarrhea hot chocolate. But what if I fall off a roof?
It's just straight up. They push a button and diarrhea comes out. This is how Starbucks makes their coffee, I'm pretty sure.
No, they do the drip diarrhea.
Like, why are they only thinking of this now? I agree with your point on that.
Uh,
It's been going on for millennia.
millennia, yeah. Like, they've
Fireproof suit.
Oh, maybe we should make a flame retardant suit. But the magic makes the fire go out and expands the fireplace for Santa to come down into. Why would he have to worry about catching on fire? Also, the montage that this... Okay, you first.
Also, the radiator doesn't have an exhaust on the roof. It doesn't have exhaust.
Right.
So he went down the pipe to somehow get into the radiator?
Oh, you're talking about how the radiator like expand or
Yeah, I
the
think
pipe on the roof.
They're treating the radiator as their fireplace, I guess.
Well, there was like some sort of like exhaust on the roof, right?
But that's probably just like a bathroom exhaust fan or something.
Yes. So, yeah, he should have come out of the exhaust fan in the bathroom. I agree. So meanwhile, this montage that they're doing, like it's a split montage between like the elves and Santa getting ready to go out and the police tracking down a bunch of Santa Claus impersonators because Scott Calvin kidnapped his child.
He sure did.
Yeah. And the song playing in the background is Give Me All Your Lovin'.
Yeah, which I'm just going to say, I have to read a few of these lyrics. I got to have a shot because what you got is oh so sweet. You got to make it hot like a boomerang. I need a repeat. This is a kid's movie. Give me all your lovin', all your hugs and kisses too. Give me all your lovin'. Don't let up until we're through. You got to whip it up and hit me like a ton of lead. If I blow my top, will you let it go to your head?
At least it doesn't say on your head.
Sure. You got to move it up and use it like a screwball would. You got to pack it up, work it like a new boy should. And then it's more repeating.
Yeah. Give me all your lovin', all your hugs and kisses too. Like
Bad.
it's a children's movie. This is a ZZ Top song about sex. If that wasn't clear.
1983.
So Tim Allen's out on his rounds, and the girl that he braided the previous year is for some reason still waiting for Santa the next year.
Yeah. Even though he's a douche.
You've gotten fatter this year is her first line, so at least she knows how to strike back. And he drinks the milk, and it's soy milk, and he says something like, "I think your milk's gone sour."
Yeah, but soy milk doesn't taste sour. And if he's lactose intolerant, shouldn't he know what soy milk tastes like?
Yes. Yes to the well. No, I would disagree on those points, just because it seems like when he becomes Santa, he somehow loses his type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. But even when, in fact, he should gain type 2 diabetes.
Exactly, given the rapid weight gain and the fact that all he's doing is shoveling sugars and carbs.
Well, I'm watching the video to Give Me All Your Lovin', and it's not for children.
Now, just
it's also really bad.
Well, it's ZZ Top. I would imagine it is good.
I will say, I saw ZZ Top in concert, and they were spectacular.
I would love to see a ZZ Top concert.
I think that guy died.
Well, don't they replace him like Santa Claus?
I'm sure.
But yeah, I feel like because he was like downing full glasses of milk in that meeting that he went into. So
yeah.
I think it changes his physiology. And then the other point I don't remember because we started talking about ZZ Top. He gets to his ex-wife's house because his son was like, "Let's leave presents in the house where I was abducted from." And I made my mom and dad gifts. I can't just give it to them tomorrow when I see them because my father has taken us on the lam.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
Again, I'm with you. Why was Judge Reinhold making a pita pocket in the middle of the night?
That was after this. This was when the cops were there.
But my point is, like, you're right. But my point is the timing of all of this.
Yes. Oh yeah. So
Why was everyone awake and like making food and wearing regular clothes?
Right. Yes, that's fair. But that is a little bit further down. Currently,
Right.
Do you want to discuss it now, or do you want to?
No, we can move. We can come back to it. Yeah, we can
Okay.
come back.
So the cops are in the house with all the lights off. He gets caught, taken to jail. They get the Elves Squad. ELFS, which I don't remember what the terrible acronym was, but it was like
I don't know, but the lead elf was a god awful actor.
I liked him. He got some good quips in, but yeah, terrible child actor. You're right. I don't remember why I said you should have got a bulletproof vest. Yeah, this elite elf squad. There's like 4 elves. They have jetpacks. As a kid, I remember these scenes and being like blown away by the fact that the kids were just like flipping and flying and oh my god. And then I'm like, as an adult, I'm like, why is that kid somersaulting like 5 times just to get out of frame with that jetpack?
He's on a wire.
Well, yes, I know why. Just why was that the choice? Why was that the choice?
He just be able to like blast off.
Right, he's on a wire though. Yeah, I liked the elves with attitude line as a kid. And that was I think that was a Power Rangers reference. That's why I liked it. It was like instead of teens with attitude, it was
And they
elves with
assaulted a
attitude.
police officer and
Yep.
got away with it.
They cut through bars with tinsel, not just for decoration. And now we get back to the point that Andrew was making. They bring Charlie back, or he brings Charlie back. There for some reason his wife Neil's making a pita pocket in the middle of
Yeah, he's like putting sprouts on it.
yeah, it's like, are they making falafel? Is it a pita pocket?
I mean, to me, when do you think Santa's delivering presents? I would think like 2 a.m.
Yeah, somewhere between 11 to 3 in the morning. Maybe
Boy, I
11
could
to
go for some
5.
shawarma right now.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't believe in Santa, so his shawarma wasn't for them or for Santa. But why are they? Why? Yeah. And then his wife is like, "Oh my God, you are Santa," for no goddamn reason.
Yeah, she just all of a sudden has like an epiphany. But I'm like, what led you to believe that was true?
Yeah, you haven't seen elves. All you've seen is that your husband has dressed up like Santa Claus and has stolen your child.
Did bring him back though.
Yes, after. I mean, was that what they were trying to imply? The fact that he returned Charlie and didn't ask him to continue on with him? Like, is that why she thought he was Santa? It doesn't make sense.
I couldn't figure it out. I was trying.
Yeah. And then Neil's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you people?" As the only sane adult in that room.
He's pulling us into his delusions.
Yeah, pulling us into his delusions because Bernard shows up eating his pita, and
Which is
then,
probably the only reason he was making it.
so that Bernard can steal it from him. Yeah, tease up the joke, and then so he leaves Charlie there, takes off. All the police officers see him. Then suddenly there's a bunch of elves among all the kids, and like to your point, like what time is it? All these fucking kids are outside with their parents in front of like what could be an active crime scene on Christmas Eve, and there were so many guns on their door. I was like, just take the shot. Anyway. He flies off. Everyone believes in Santa, whatever. And then the next scene. Oh, wait, no. Before the next scene, Judge Reinhold asks Charlie, "Oh, do you want to be a therapist when you grow up?" Or he's like, "You'd make a good therapist when you grow up." And Charlie's like, "I think I'm going to go into the family business." by killing my father and taking his robes. Like, what the fuck,
Pushes him
Charlie?
off a roof.
Exactly. Startles him off of a roof. But yeah, and then the immediate next scene, like Charlie's playing with the stupid snow globe again, which I'm like, I don't think this scene was originally in it. I think they showed it to test audiences, and they're like, "Well, what the fuck about Charlie?" Because Judge Reinhold's not in it.
Spoiler alert: Charlie's not likable.
Yes, that's very true. You should see the Santa Claus too. He's worse in it because he's actually acting like a little shit. Except he's a teenager, so that's obvious. But yeah. Oh, by the way, as those elves were, the elves that were dressed up as children next to people that thought they were their kids, go skipping off into the night, gleefully. They definitely stole some children. Like I that's yeah. And yes, shakes the crystal ball. Tim Allen doesn't show up. Then he does show up. And it's literally 10 minutes later their time, and so just like, oh, I left Charlie with you 10 minutes ago, but I'm gonna take him.
Yeah, like already.
Yeah, what the fuck? And then they fly off into the distance as the moon crashes into the earth, and that's the Santa Claus
In a namely 90s minute.
But yeah, it that was the Santa Claus. Do you have some thoughts? Your review. You want me to go first?
Man, you go first.
Okay. I really loved this movie as a kid. It definitely brought back all the nostalgia feels watching it today, especially all of my favorite scenes from when I was a kid. I liked the elf scenes. I liked the elf kid with attitude. The CG hasn't aged well.
No.
That was scary appearance. And I don't know what the theme of this movie is. Is it to lie? Is it not to lie? Should I stop looking for a deeper meaning in a children's Christmas movie? Clearly. But it kind of makes me want to watch the next movie and definitely the series, not the Santa Claus 3. Maybe the second one. I'm conflicted. My final thoughts, and the question. Oh, well, how about you review first, and then I'll ask my final thought question.
I sent you something in the chat. Yeah, this movie. I mean, it brought back all the feels.
Yeah, Majora's Mask.
It brought back all the feels. It's sort of like in your mind, you build these movies up to be these classic masterpieces, but when you rewatch them, you're like, wow, this was bad. But I think it's a classic.
Yeah, I feel like it's just on the other side of that bar, like where it's not stuck in the wow, this is bad, but it's this isn't great.
Listen, this isn't Hocus Pocus 2, at least.
Yes, it's Hocus Pocus 1.
I mean, I might show this movie to my kids.
Yeah, my final thought question is: will you be adding this back to your Christmas movie rotation?
I don't have a Christmas movie rotation, but this would go in it, I think.
Yeah, I do. I will watch Die Hard, Christmas Vacation, and A Christmas Story. And I think this just barely made it back in. I think. Oh, also Elf might be in there.
I feel like Elf gets in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like Elf covers a lot of what this one does.
True.
But at the same time,
Elf gets a little in the weeds at the end with like the Christmas spirit and like the trying to fly the sleigh,
singing.
Yeah.
Yes. Will Ferrell fighting Peter Dinklage by calling him an elf.
Yeah, I mean funny, but
Yes.
it gets a little in the weeds toward the end.
Little people. And that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Find us on Twitter if it's still around, and on Instagram at namely90s90s, or find our personal Twitter accounts, again, if it's still around, at bshwitty and at namelyandrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. And actually do, because we will have a new format in the coming year. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/namely90s, also with 90s. Finally, you can contact us through our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Naughty List, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and we will diarrhea you next time.
Naughty List, is that a new app?
It's one of those swiping ones.